Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Dear authors and invited guests, welcome to our technical session 1A. My name is Richa and I'm the moderator of this session. On the behalf of Global Knowledge Research Foundation, it's my great pleasure to welcome you to the 7th International Congress on Information and Communication Technology through Zoom. Further, as we are well aware, we have been facing a new normal situation while overcoming the pandemic. Hence, the conference has been shifted to the hybrid mode. We are very thankful to everyone who present on this platform to go along with us digitally for this conference in these unpredictable post-COVID circumstances and making this conference more productive. We wish everyone and their families to a protected time. We hope you will enjoy the 2 days of knowledgeful and interactive sessions. Also, there's a special note for the presenter. You will be given 10 to 12 minutes for presentation and 3 minutes for question answer. And after 10 minutes, I will raise a gentle reminder to conclude the presentation. And I request while the presentation is going on, kindly other participant be muted. And there's another request to all the participants. You all please stay connected with us till the closing remarks. If you have any query and any updates, you can write to me in chat box. And just before we get started, I would like to introduce our session chair, Dr. Vivek Tiwari. Dr. Vivek Tiwari is the Assistant Professor of Computer Science and Engineering at International Institute of Information Technology, Naya Raipur, India. His research interests include data mining and warehousing, pattern mining and warehousing, data analysis, pattern retrieval and presentation, machine learning, and big data. Welcome to you, sir.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you.
Now we can start all the presentations.
So first author, I would like to call as the sequence is given on the list, Desmond Dowd, welcome, and you may start your presentation. Best of luck.
Right, good evening in Malaysia, everyone. Welcome to my presentation. My presentation here titled Conceptual Framework of Database Development on Bidong Island. It is the case of Vietnamese boat people campsite facilities for historical tourism. So I'm Desmond Dowd. Together, my team is Nur Shamila Anwar and Antasha Muhammad Noor from UITM. Right. This paper is about the facilities related to the Vietnamese boat people in Bidong Island. Because from year 1978 to 1991, they coming to Malaysia was increasing. By the time the island was closed as a refugee camp in 1991, so nearly about 250,000 Vietnamese has passed through the camp, according to the United Nations High Commissioner of Refugees. This island, located quite remote from Kuala Lumpur, it is called a Little Saigon. I mean to say they still remembering their past as Vietnamese people. And in 1979, Malaysia has started to receive thousands of these refugees, and the numbers will keep on increasing. So this alarming number triggered Malaysia to cooperate with the United Nations to set up a shelter facilities to at Bidong Island before they've been transferred to third countries, example to France, Canada, Australia, etc. So the status of the shelter facilities will remain only as a temporary shelter before they were accepted by third countries. So in this case, Malaysia is only as a temporary shelter here. For those who do not know about the Bidong Island, if you refer here, this is the maps of Malaysia. And then it is very tiny island here in Bidong Island. It is a non-habitat. So the government of Malaysia plans, okay, at the time to set up a shelter for these Vietnamese people. So we can see that from the Vietnam, they across the sea to find a shelter, because at that time Vietnam involved in the civil war. And after they left, okay, this is okay. If you can see, we went there last year, okay, to mapping the facilities. It was in the set conditions. You can see it's only a signage, and it's only the concrete remains. So the objective here is to upgrade these facilities to become a tourist center. The objective for this paper is to provide an overview of how database development, because we are using the 360, okay, to mapping as for the virtual facilities in Bidong Island, and to assist the local state, we call that the State Museum of Terengganu, in promoting the former Vietnamese Boer people facilities in Bidong Island as historical tourism from the outcome of the database development. This is the framework where we have the database development, and then we have the historical tourism model for former BP facilities Bidong Island, and then we will develop virtual model for former BP facilities Bidong Island. In our case here, the database refers to the plan, construct, build, and maintain a system so that an organization can stay organized and use their data effectively. It have, in this case, okay, the museum, the state museum, to organize and track information. And then we have the historical tourism model for former BBP facilities. Historical tourism tends to have a different kinds of visitors. Not all the general visitors prefer these kinds of facilities. So the visitors are interested in visiting historical sites. They visit and view places that are related to historical events. So tourists take an interest in historical information, which is linked to the respective point of interest. So this study planned to use 3D design skill to create engaging, multi-dimensional environments that easily lend themselves for the VR platform. The proposed research design, for this purpose, the researchers are observing the status of the former VP facilities that we went last year through in-depth interview, site visit, and application, the 360-degree video, audio, image capture, and data recording. In addition, we also referring to journals, to the government's document to support our research here. For a bird eye view on the site, we use drone and high resolution camera so that we can capture for the bird's eye view for all the facilities at the island. And the discussion part, the expected outcome from these database development on the former BP facility will further assist as tool of marketing communications. The use of the application give the actual visual image on the island as a whole. Another expected outcome of the application is that it will be used by the tourism agencies such as museum and other government, local government agencies. So the uses of these new media trends as a marketing tool to help to reach the potential number of tourism. In this case, tourism who are focused on the historical event, visiting the island. The acceptance of 360-degree application as a tool of promoting tourism destination, which indirectly promote electronic word of mouth. For knowledge extension, the developments of the database for mapping the Bidong Island using 360 technique can provide new area of study in mass communication, especially. We can develop an association between mass communication and tourism. So the public will perceive a new dimension of knowledge that have elements of mass communication and historical tourism, especially in the case of these Vietnamese people. We can also promote actual tourist fieldwork to attract those who want to learn more about Malaysian history, just using mass communication. So in conclusion, this paper presents a conceptual framework for the needs of database development of the former Vietnamese people facilities in Bidong Island. The proposed study endeavors to make both practical contribution and knowledge extension in the fields of mass communication and information technology. With that, I end my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Desmond.
Yes.
What I could understand, there is an island and that is a bit isolated. So you want keep that island, the people in the mainstream.
Yes.
You want to bring the people and tourism in that area.
Yes.
So the first the questions comes in my mind. It is only the idea, or you have done some concrete thing, like what is the status of the work you have presented? Anything you have done or your team have done?
Okay, we basically been invited by this local museum to promote physically the tourism spot here, but due to the lack of manpower, lack of the technology, so they assist us. It's more on the at this moment the framework, so it's been stopped for a while due to the COVID-19 in Malaysia.
So it is more towards to the idea only, I think.
Yes,
right now,
correct.
okay, it is only over
Yes.
to idea only. So any because you want to run this project and you want to fulfill your objective, you need a financial support. So have you seen, have you applied, what are the prospective, the agencies that can help you financially to come up to complete this project?
Yes, it's been supported by the state government, the state of Terengganu.
So thank you. If any other the author and participant having the question may ask. Otherwise, we can we should move ahead for the second presentation.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Nice work. It was nice work and
Yeah.
very new things to learn from my side also. Thank you.
Thank you.
So thanks, and I would like to call the next the title. The paper title is an improved method for the sizing of a standalone photovoltaic system, and the presenter is Amy Sedio. So if the presenter present in the meeting may start with the presentation, please.
Thank you very much. I am Amy Sedio, and
thank you. Welcome.
Thank you very much. I am very happy to participate in this conference, and my presentation is about an improved method for the sizing of a standalone photovoltaic system, application of Ngunjan village in Senegal. Okay. The output of PV systems strongly depends on the availability of solar irradiation and ambient temperature. Therefore, energy stores such as batteries are used to meet the low demand when there is a shortage of the available energy. In Senegal, to our knowledge, we remark weak studies aiming to improve the PV system's operating shows an optimal choice between PV and battery capacities. Recently, a numerical sizing method has been investigated by Amy Sedio et al. And applied in Ngunjan's site. But the random nature of solar irradiation and ambient temperature has not been taken into account, which made the results unreliable. Following the same procedure, we propose in this study an optimal numerical sizing method to find out the best configuration between PV and battery capacities by taking into account the simultaneity coefficient, the annual variation of the monthly solar irradiation average, and the maximal temperature in Gunjan site. This presentation is in 3 parts. Firstly, we are going to examine the materials and method used. Secondly, we are going to analyze the results. And finally, we are going to discuss about results and give a short conclusion. Now let's move on the first section in which we define materials and process of sizing method. We start with the application of simple empiric model to limit the research space. So mathematical expressions used to find the maximal PV and battery capacities are given in equations 1 and 2 respectively. Here CBAT represents the total capacity of storage system and is expressed from equation 3. Now let's consider the proposed model, which is based on the monthly solar irradiation average. It is focused on the operating conditions between PV and battery capacities, which involve a description of parameters behavior of the system by an energy modeling. So the model used to simulate the PV output is given in equation 4. If this energy is greater than load demand and the energy stored in the batteries is lower than the maximal capacity, then the energy stored in the batteries is calculated from equation 5. Now, if the PV energy is lower than load demand and the energy stored in the batteries is greater than the minimal allowed, then batteries are used to compensate for the missing energy according to equation 6. Now, in order to protect a battery against a drastic reduction of their lifetime, the energy stored in the batteries is subject to the following restriction. In this study, we use the energy deficit to evaluate the technical relevance of the proposed model. It is quantified by the loss of power supply probability, which represents the ratio between the energy missing and load demand, and is defined from equation 8. Here, LPSP represents the missing energy to satisfy load demand and is computed from equation 9. LPSP varies between 0 and 1. A LPSP close to 0 means a good satisfaction of the system, while a LPSP close to 1 means a bad satisfaction of the low requirements. Now, from all these equations and by considering the operating conditions of the system, we elaborated a sizing algorithm as shown in figure 1. As we can see, this algorithm generates to the output different combinations between PV and battery capacities and takes as input parameters the load demand, the monthly solar irradiation average, and the ambient temperature in Gunjan site. This leads us to the next point in which these parameters are evaluated. Figure 2 gives 3 load profiles in Gunjan site corresponding to 3 periods in the year. Here, the maximal power is used in the sizing process to maximize the PV energy production. The annual variation of the monthly solar irradiation average is exhibited in figure 3. Here, it shows that the minimal value of irradiation in Gunjan site is around 4.88 and is observed at month of December, while the maximal value of irradiation is 7.05 and is recorded at month of April. For the temperature, the average value varies between 25 and 30 degrees. Now, the sizing model has been run by using MATLAB software, and the results are exhibited in the following section. Take a look at the figure 4. As we can see, a lower irradiation value requires a higher capacity to install, while a higher irradiation value gives smaller capacities to install. Indeed, the energy quantity produced is more important when the irradiation is high. And in this case, PV and battery capacities are restricted. On the other hand, a small solar irradiation leads to a decrease of the output energy. And therefore, the capacity of components increases. Figures 5 and 6 illustrate this phenomenon. Indeed,
Dear presenter, so to interview, last 2 minutes.
They give different combinations between PV and battery capacities for greatest and smallest value of irradiation. To find the best configuration of the system, we based on the smaller storage capacity and the total life cycle cost, which is mathematically expressed from equation 10. And after calculating, the best configuration is marked in yellow from table 1, and the total life cycle cost corresponding is marked in blue in table 2. As conclusion, we can say that the proposed model, in this proposed model, the PV and battery capacities are decreases respectively compared to the empiric model. While in Sadio et al., the numerical method reduce the capacity storage by 75% and the total life cycle cost by 65%, while the PV and the PV capacities are the same for intuitive and numerical method. You can say that this improved method allowed to find out a better PV batteries configuration than in Sadio et al. However, the average LPSP equal to 0.3 is relatively high and must be further optimized. And for this, we must use a more accurate input data. That's all my presentation. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you, Amy. I think you have taken the scope of your work, and it is new to me. I enjoyed your presentation, and you try to validate your work with the mathematical background. The important thing I'm missing in your presentation was the description in detail about the data. So means the data you have taken, what was the source of data, the data is valid or not, the time of data is only for 1 year data set you have taken, or it is a data set for the longer time. So that detail you must include in the presentation, the size of data, the timeline of the data, or the parameter of the data, property of the data, so that we may have a trust, and you may validate your results with the support of data. So can you describe a bit within a 20-30 seconds about the data set, from where you have got it and what was the property of that data?
Okay, the data are solar irradiation and ambient temperature. They are average value recorded. They are average value, but to improve the result, we must use a value recorded in more close interval. For example, hourly recorded in hourly value, hourly interval, or recorded each minute to optimize the system. Because if we use data recorded each minute, that reflect the real variations, the real variability of meteorological data. And in this case, the result is more accurate.
Okay, thank you, Amy. Just have one suggestion. Since the data are recorded through the some instruments, and the sometime instrument don't work, they malfunction. They data set may have a missing value. Data set may have outliers. So
Yes.
also take care about those part, because if there is a outlier missing values, they may distort your results and conclusion. So please may look in that that way also. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now next the presenter, I would like to call the title of the paper is highly stochastic time series modeling using STM, and the presenter is Philip. So please may come and start your presentation, please.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Philippe Guéon, and let me just get set up. Okay. All right. So once again, greeting everyone. My name is Philippe Guéon, and I'm happy to be here with you and present my and my colleague Tomasz Bławucki work concerning highly stochastic time series modeling using HTM in comparison to commonly used approaches. So the question, the statement I would want to open with is that just like everyone, I hope, we would like to know the future. But unfortunately, most tools are far from perfect. So why even model the time series? Because a lot of data in our lives is organized as such. And that's concerning natural data, business data, technological, medical, and other phenomena that have temporal character. They evolve and change in time, and so arise the need for us to model that data, to be able to accurately forecast it. And time series modeling provides tools for analysis and forecasting of such phenomena, therefore giving a key tool for gaining control over them, for us to react to the changes ahead of time, to understand what is coming and to better adapt to it. But as with any basically complicated event or complicated phenomena, there are problems in time series modeling. And time series forecasting in real world is often difficult because real life time series are highly stochastic. And by that, I mean they are extremely noisy. They may have outliers. They may have some anomalies that we can't have really account for. And relatively simple, linear dependencies are often just not there. Patterns tend to be isolated and far apart. History is seldom encapsulated by a simple autoregression. Correlations with factors external to time series matter, since it's not only about the data values and the date attached to it, but also many external things that can affect the phenomenon, the model time series. And as such, non-machine learning and also AI models are often difficult to parameterize because we don't really understand and can account for all things that affect our modeled time series. And not only that, there are some problems particularly related to machine learning and AI. And those problems, even though the models are promising, are substantial, since the machine learning and AI model typically require a lot of data points, observation.
Sorry for interrupt. Dear presenter, you are on the first slide, introduction slide.
Come again, sorry.
Dear presenter, you are on first slide.
You keep on moving the slide
on two.
also.
Your slide is not moving.
I'm on slide 2 on my end. Did it freeze?
So it is appearing the first page, first slide to us.
All right. Sorry for
Click
that.
you have, please click on slide number 2, it will come.
All right.
Yeah, now it is
Is it
moving.
better? Is it better in that view? Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry again. So
Go ahead, please.
As I was saying, machine learning and AI tools are promising, but they have a lot of problems inherent to them. I talked about the history requirement, but what's also a problem that the historical data that we get is also sometimes incomplete. There are missing data points, there are periods unaccounted for, or the history is too short for the models to properly learn on. And due to that, the models tend to be unstable sometimes. On the other hand, the models can overfit, thus not extracting real knowledge, but only copying what was before without replicating the underlying process. And in our work, we faced that problem many times, and we set out to see if there is other solution, if there is any other alternative. And we found HTM models. So we asked ourselves, how will this novel, promising HTM model fare compared to other already established forecasting methods when it comes to predicting highly stochastic time series? And building on that question, we set out to gather data. So we acquired a data set comprised of weekly usage patterns for 21 raw material indices called SKUs from an undisclosed food manufacturer. And you can see an example of 3 of those SKUs on a figure 1. They have been rescaled for better presentation, but for the purpose of research, we use the raw data. As you can see, there's a lot of going on in here. We have many temporal pattern changes, we have rising trends, we have falling trends, very varied data, and very stochastic in nature data. And we tried to model that with HTM. And what is exactly HTM? Well, it's an biology constrained technology, mostly inspired by pyramidal neurons of neurocortex. So hierarchical temporal memory, which is called in short HTM, has originally been described by Jeff Hawkins with Sandra Blixley in book on intelligence. This is further explored and examined by the author and his research team in company Numenta, link here on the slide. And we based our work on their findings and on their model. So HTM is a biologically constrained artificial intelligence technology. It's based on human neurocortex, in particular on human pyramidal neurons. And you can see that on figure 2. Part B represents the biological pyramidal neuron, and part C represents the artificial neuron. This allows, in combination to the organization of those neurons, the HTM models to learn and encode semantic meaning of input data, to infer and learn high order patterns and store associated knowledge. This technology does an unsupervised constant learning on time-based patterns in unlabeled data. And in theory, it should be highly noise resistant, able to adapt, and able to learn on even short periods of data. That's what really interested us. So we set out to compare a total of 7 different approaches that were commonly used, that we use in our works, and that we found in literature with HTM models. So we have, apart from the titulary models, SARIMA models, LSTM and TF, which are both types of artificial neural networks, machine learning approach. Under that, we labeled basically an ensemble model that comprised of many smaller models and choose the best approach based on the metric, Holt-Winters method, and Fourier transform. These 7 models were tested on the SKUs I presented. And what we found out really surprised us, since HTM proved to be the best out of 7 examined approaches for almost 30% of SKUs. As you can see on the graph, it's 8 out of 21 where HTM models emerged victorious, that's what I might say, in comparison. And for those 8 cases, HTM models on average presented around 20% improvement compared to the other approaches. It varied from around 4% to 47% even, and it's based on an RMS, round mean square error metric. So in the second place, there's no surprise for us, Sarima models that proved to be the best in 6 out of 21 approaches, proving its reliability. But what was really impressive for us in our findings was that HTM don't only minimize the RMS value, but also try to model the real underlying process. And as you can see on the 2 graphs I have touched, we've got predicted values in weekly granulation and aggregated to month. The blue line represents the real usage of SKUs we tried to forecast, and the red one represents the HTM predictions. The other are respectively other models. And what's interesting in here is that part in weekly granulation, where HTM models tried to account for those repeating spikes and plateaus, trying to emulate the real usage of that SKU, of that time series. And they, in that, avoided what is commonly happening with other models. And I mean by that convergence to the mean, which might minimize the RMS value, but is not really representative of the underlying process. It's not really modeling the time series, it's just minimizing the metric. And that's what was, for us, really useful in HTM models. So after all that, we are looking forward to further research and experiments on HTM technology. And I have a few key takeaways from this research. The HTM models were most accurate in 8 out of 21 cases. The overall gain in accuracy was around 20%. Not only that, but it also tried to reproduce the real shape of data series, and it had the ability to adapt and retain information about long absent patterns, as in some SKUs, it recognized the switch to the pattern that was present there before. And also it was able to learn on short data series as promised by the inventors. So what we plan to do next is test HTM on wider range of data, as if it proved for these SKUs, it may prove useful for other time series. Also, we considered experimenting with data preprocessing, as in this study, we only employed the minimal preprocessing needed. So it was varied around the models. And for HTM, it was basically raw data encoded in the format that is taken by those models. So maybe with preprocessing, we could improve the ability of HTM models to learn, as they wouldn't need to filter the noise or ignore outliers themselves. And as well, we considered experiments with feature engineering or attaching exogenous information not present in this analysis, since more data is always better for the models. They might find some further correlations or further relations that we do not see. And with that, I would want to thank you all for your attention, and I'm open to questions.
Thank you, Philip. What I could understand, the objective of your work was to, and the conclusion is that the STM is the algorithm that work better than the others. So if I could understand, in machine learning, normally we don't say like that the algorithm is the best one, and we can't make the order of the algorithm from like a top to down. Why? Because every algorithm in the machine learning have a different hypotheses and assumptions. So depend on the type of data you have taken, the performance of the algorithm may vary. So maybe in the given data set, whatever you have taken, the STM may perform at this time. But when you go for the different type of data that have taken the different way, it may be possible other algorithms may outperform than the STM. So once we try to conclude STM is the best one, we have to test it with a huge or a various type of data set, as you have mentioned already the future plan. So that is the only the suggestions that keep in mind to declare the particular algorithm is the better than others. It is not based on the only the single type of data set, based on the experiment on the single type of data set.
Yes, of course. And even in this data set, the Sarima models also performed pretty good. So it really boils down to the approach we take. And we are hoping that maybe with further development, HTML models will prove even better sometimes.
Sure. And the last suggestion is that also mention the parameters in the experiment you have taken, like a number of epoch, other various parameters are there in machine learning. May given the summary like this, the parameter we have used, based on that parameter, the results are like that. Yeah, because the moment you will change the parameter, results may differ.
Yes. It's the fine tuning of parameters was a big part of our research, and we included our methods in the full paper, but I choose to omit that from the presentation as it would take just too much time.
Yeah. Otherwise, your presentation was nice. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
My best wishes.
Thank you.
So the next presenter, I want to call the title Design of an Interactive BB-8 like robot. Please come up for the presentation. Please, may go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, you are audible. Please go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, can we share the screen?
Please.
Yes, thanks a lot. Okay. So do you see the screen, right? The slides?
Yes, it is visible to us.
So this work was nicely developed by Miss Mia Ines, and she's gonna present and the talk. Thanks again for involving us on this interesting meeting and conference. I'll pass the microphone to Mia.
Hi, my name is Mia. This presentation is about the design of an interactive BB-8-like robot. So the PowerPoint outlines the introduction about BB-8 and how it was made, the design of the project, the materials and methods that I used for it, the results that we found, and any future developments that we're planning to use for the project. So the project was developed from the Star Wars movie character BB-8, who's a droid, using a hamster wheel drive mechanism, which is wirelessly controlled through a mobile phone app to move around using the Bluetooth. And it was made from low-cost materials for affordability. So the majority of it was made using household materials to make it a bit more cheaper. So the design of the project uses sound activation for the voice of the BB-8 containing an MP3 sound module. This is the audio feedback, which then senses the visual feedback, which is the lights in his head. So as the project's talking, it's also got lights that reflect the volume of the sound as well. So when his volume's bigger, the lights go brighter. Inside the base of the project is a controller using a low-cost Arduino Nano board that contains actuators and wheels, and the head and the body are connected using magnets. So the audio feedback is an MP3 sound module that has been connected to the head, which contains a speaker as well and a button. So when you press the button for the feedback, sound will be outputted, and then the sound then gives visual feedback of lights, which are then placed in the eyes and the bottom of the heads. The body's got a controller which has a battery, is battery powered, wheels connected by actuators, and that's controlled by a mobile app from the phone and has a Bluetooth module as well. So there's two interactive features on the project. There's the motion control and the sound module control. This is the sound control. And the motion control causes the project to be able to move up to 2 meters distance. The electronics in the robot is using a robot car kit, which is from a Lego, an MP3 module, and an LED light sensor, which is placed in the head to trigger all the lights. An Arduino is used in the bottom of the project, and a Bluetooth module was used for wireless communication. By the end of the project, the motors inside the body were able to allow the robot to roll across the floor in a specific direction. The end user input was be able to use through a mobile phone app, which was able to be connected to both Android and Apple devices. The wireless communication allowed the device to be moved from a fair distance. Magnets inside the head were used to avoid the head from falling off the body to allow the body to roll at a steady pace. The light sensors were triggered by the audio, so the light and the sound both worked at the same time. We have a lot of ideas for future developments for the project. We would like to add a sensor that would be able to detect any sound and output sound as well, such as a Siri device to enhance robot and human interaction, to make it feel more as like a companion for the elderly or lonely, so they have a physical companion with them. Another idea is also to add a motion sensor to avoid the robot from crashing into obstacles, as at the moment, there's no obstacle avoidance. So if you direct the project to go into a wall, it will go into a wall. But it could also be added with a self-drive alteration that could allow the user to enter specific coordinates, like a shop, and then the robot would be able to take itself to that location. So anyone who's unable to leave their homes will be able to use the project to do its shopping for it, basically, instead of having to put themselves at risk. Thank you. That's everything.
Thank you, Mia. Oh, I was a little bit expecting to more discussion about the interactive capability of the robot. As the title, there is a word interactive. So the presentation was nice in the point of view you have explained the component, materials, and design. So can you please give you more picture about what is the meaning of interactive in the title of the paper you have given? And because when we talk about the interactive means the people may give the instructions and may have a communication with the robot, and the robot may real time give the response equally. So that part I'm looking to have a, if you have a please right now, you give the more thought of how to implement all those things.
Okay. The interactive side of it is that you're able to control the movement through an app on your phone. So you can tell it to move forward and the project would move forward. You can allow it to move backwards, and also you can make it spin in a circle. You can change the speed of it as well, but right now it doesn't move that quickly because of the magnets inside the head. But it's more based, the more interactive part of it is the fact that you're able to decide where it goes and what it does.
So is there something related to the
I
learning?
hear the question, but I try to add something on, even if I cannot hear you. But I think, can you hear what I'm saying? Can you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah, you are audible, sir, please.
What is, I mean, this is clearly a preliminary prototype. What would be interesting is to start to work on that and, you know, validate and test it in a possible scenario. And as Mia was saying, it would be interesting to start to think about, for example, some experimental protocol where you put the device and you prove this interaction capability.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree, because the project or the robot cannot do everything in the world. So with the scope you may mention during the presentation, these are the activities and kind of interaction the project, the product or the robot can do, or we are planning. So because all kind of possible activities cannot be possible with the robot, you might have planned to having the move forward, move back, listening something, and the instruction maybe through the voice, maybe through the mobile. All those things you may list. With this scope, we are developing the robot like that.
Yeah, the idea right now is to create something basic to ensure that it works, and then add future developments to it so that we could create a more complex version of it. So for the elderly companion area, we'd add the obstacle avoidance so that an elderly person would be able to control the project. So if it needed something from the kitchen, but they were unable to move, they could control it, and maybe add like arms or something to it as well to help carry stuff, so that no one's having to do a job by themselves and they have like their own friendly companion.
So thank you. I learned
Sorry,
also
would
a lot
it
with
be
your
possible
presentation.
to ask a few? I have one more
Yeah, why
question.
not? Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Hi, yeah, I was really interested in the magnets that you had going on to hold the head on there. So if you set it to the fastest speed it has, does it have a ramp up and sort of like a movement pattern it needs to go through to get going fast without losing its head? And also, have you thought of giving it an adorable voice? I think children might like this thing a lot too.
At the moment, it's more, it can control, we haven't measured the specific speed that it can go, but it can go about 5 miles per hour. So it's like, it's quite fast. But we can't like whiz it across the room. So I used neodymium magnets. I used about 10 each side to create a really strong pull. So I have some in the head and some in the body. Also, I've considered maybe adding like a child's voice to it in a way to try and like create a more friendly approach to it. So right now it's just got the sounds of the BB-8 from Star Wars in it. But future developments for it, I wanted to make it so that it'd be someone that people could talk to, like a Siri type of thing where you can ask it questions and it can answer you back. So yeah, I would consider maybe putting more friendly voice in as well.
So thank you. I hope the presentation is over and we may move ahead. Thank you, Mia and the team. Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
allowed to,
yeah,
do we
please.
have, sorry, do we have another minute or can you hear me?
Yeah, please. What is your question, please?
Yeah, no, I just want to say something because there was I think there was a mistake in the agenda, and basically we were supposed to present another paper. So if you give me 30 seconds, I already mentioned this to the organizer and they said that I'm allowed. I would like just to mention and show you one slide of this, and that's all.
So, Richa, are you there?
Sorry.
I'm
Say again,
asking.
sorry.
I'm asking the moderator of this session, Richa. Are you there?
Yes, sir.
Because,
Yes, sir, we can allow them.
okay,
Yeah,
please go ahead.
I will be really quickly. I just want to say, let me share the screen.
Please go ahead.
And please make sure your time is please limited. So
Yeah.
we have very limited
I
time.
will not. I will not. I just want to mention that. I mean, keep an eye on the proceeding, and if you are interested on MIA project and also on this project from Mr. Manolescu, just contact us. So basically, this is about the design of another robot for assistive. You know, you can think about different applications. Basically, it's a robotic arm. And you will find on the proceeding all the details about the construction and the strategy that we use to design this robot. So there is also a video available on YouTube. So in case you are interested, just contact us. I just want to mention this. And thanks again for your availability. Okay. That's all. Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Yeah. I just want to mention this. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
No, because there was a mistake in the. I think they didn't report on the agenda this presentation. So
No, so I think Richa has noted down all those things and it will be rectified. I think so.
thanks a lot.
Thank you. So, time to move. Go ahead. So, would like to call the next the paper title automatic synthesis of cognitive model for revealing economic sector. So would like to call the Alexander and may go for the presentation. Please come. If the author is present, please may start.
Okay, Raikov here, if you want.
Yeah, audible, please go ahead.
Here because I have to work on two sessions and I'd like to connect with you. Thank you. It's my time.
Yeah, sir, please.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, because I have got three computers. Now, that. Okay. Okay, do you hear me? Can you watch my presentation?
It is totally visible from our side. Please, sir, go ahead.
You have, yeah?
Yeah, please.
Okay. I have only 13 minutes. I will tell you about a very interesting, I think, a very interesting problem, how to accelerate the study of the understanding the needs, economic sector needs in digital technology. It's a great project, and we have been working on this project for 3 years. And we have some interesting results, for example. But there are one problem that we cannot. The main question, the main problem is how can we accelerate revealing economic sector needs in digital technology? Of course, by using artificial intelligence and big data and experts. The agenda is on this slide. Review cognitive modeling. It's one of the part, the cognitive modeling automation. Then experiments. It's the more important part. It's experiments. Okay, for making the review, we create some criteria for review. You can see these criteria on this slide. We describe some criteria from modern world, TIL. It's another criteria. We non-formalizable cognitive factors in the description of the economic sector needs, and acceleration of agreement between. And we come to the result that some problem is very important in this study. It's an expert procedure, non-formalizable models, semantics, and inverse problem solving, and so on. We created the special technology for making this, for solve this problem. It's you can see this technology on this site. Now I will. This technology is working, and now I will tell you only about one part of this technology. We have to create the model, artificial intelligence model, cognitive model. It's the model which has non-formalizable semantics, which describe the needs of the economic sectors. From the beginning, this model is making by experts. Experts suggest factors that describe every segments of economic and connection between sectors. Then we maps these cognitive models in the big data, relevant big data, by using special request fragment you can see on this slide. And we wrote the paper 1 year ago. The last year we spent for we wanted to try automate this process, to change experts by artificial intelligence technology. We used the deep learning system, neural network. We used request fragments and big data, of course. The relevant document, you can see the site of this relevant document. And by using this idea, we wanted to create the cognitive model automatically. But the experiment, our experiments, which we have been making for 1 year, have shown us that the result of automatic creation of cognitive model accuracy of the about 35%. And we understood that we have to take into account non-formalizable information, non-formalized information, emotions, thoughts, and so on. This problem is the problem for discussion. I wrote the book last year about these things. The idea of using quantum semantics, non-local semantics, physical fields. I think that these aspects of semantic of cognitive model can be used for make the result of automatic cognitive modeling better. It's very, I think it's the task for the future. And in the conclusion, I can tell you that I don't think that we have got very optimistic results, because the level of models verification accuracy by automatically can be about 93%, but the level of models creating accuracy is only 34%. And now we are working under the problem of non-formalizable cognitive semantic with using, for example, quantum mechanic and quantum semantics instruments. I've got many publications in this field. Well, that's all. Thank you. Do you hear me?
Yeah, thank you. Your presentation was really nice.
I don't think that you understand everything, but because it's very difficult problem.
Yeah, I'm audible. I am audible, sir. I'm audible. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I hear you.
Yeah. So thank you. And the problem you have taken is really very interesting. And the related area, I'm also working like a semantic web or ontology, like in that area, but we are creating the ontology and cementing from the videos, like a surveillance camera, like how to convert the video to some readable format. So anyhow, your area is matching with me, and I am very happy to know you have written the book in this area. So definitely I will refer it. And the presentation and the problem you have taken is very open, and what I could understand, very difficult to validate the model, because we don't have the true labels, true output, so that my model is predicting how to match it. So the problem is so open, and I really learned a lot through your presentation. I like it, sir, really.
Yes, but I have to tell you that the creating the ontology, it's formalizable part of the system, but we have to find the cognitive, non-formalizable semantic of these ontologies, of this formal ontology. What the main problem?
Yeah, so the data
because I cannot understand how I can my emotion put into the ontology. I cannot do it.
So that always difficult.
It's, you may read, for example, my book.
So the data, so the data set you have taken, that is unstructured data, that is a reviews or text data, I think you have taken.
Yes.
Okay, I will connect with you the later, because the area is overlapping, so may have a discussion later, sir.
Thank you. I'll be glad to meet with your ideas.
Thank you.
I am open for you. Yes, I'll be glad. Because ontology is one of the main artificial intelligence systems.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you.
I'll go to the next section. Thank you.
So thank you, and we may move ahead for the last the presenter in this session, and the title is an approach for learning to polish Braille mathematical notation by sighted teachers. So I would like to call the author Darius Mikulowski for the next presentation. Thank you. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Zoom spotkanie. Wycisz uruchom wideo uczestnicy. Rozpoczęto wideo alert. Zatrzymaj moje ICICT 2022.
Prezentację. Screen. My name is Dariusz Mikułowski. I am from University of Natural Sciences and Humanities in Siedlce in Poland. Subject of my presentation is about learning of math of blind students by sighted teachers. I am also a blind scientist, so the problem is very important for me and for our team. So, agenda of my presentation. At first, I will speak a few words about motivation to our research, problem of teaching math of blind user by sighted teachers, because the methods of working of these both are different. Different Braille math notations which are used by blind students. And one of the way to solve this problem is the Lieb-Lewis converters. Then about existing solutions, and also about our applications, our solutions which we have developed, and about application for the teachers to learn this Braille mathematical notation. And we conclude with results motivation of our work. So the problem of teaching blind students of math is not easy task, because the blind students uses another methods of learning as sighted. Blind students uses linear Braille notation, which means that each sign of which they write encodes math symbols, and sighted teachers uses two-dimensional form of presentation of math formulas. It is only one problem, but not another problem is that there are, in different countries, there are different notations for blind students. So students from one country cannot communicate in the range of mathematics with students of another country. It is problem. So there is a need to make, we make a research before our project and ask teachers who teach blind students if they know Braille notation and Braille alphabet, and we found that only 48% of such teachers know Braille. So there is need to make software and solutions to
problem of teaching math of blind students. Besides teachers, blind students uses different Braille mathematics.
So it is need to make different solutions. Communication between blind user and blind student and teacher should be audio communication, because the blind student does not use notebooks or blackboard, and methods of making is different, because a lot of things blind students have to make in memory, solve task, and then rewrite the formula again, and then rewrite this formula, and it's time consuming and
problem of teaching
time consuming and a tedious process. So there is need to make solutions.
Different Braille mathematics.
So in different countries there are different Braille notations. It is another problem. The most known notation is Nemeth code, which is American notation. made by Professor Nemeth. Then in German-speaking countries, we have Marburg notation, which were developed by Professor Helmut Fesser in Marburg School for the Blind. In English-speaking countries, we have Unified Braille notation. So you can see in example how this notation is different. There's also Polish Braille notation, which is based on Marburg notation. The differences are sometimes great. So Nemeth formula is completely different than Marburg notation. So this communication is problematic. There is a solution of this would be converters, and one of the rich and better converter is LibLouis library. It is C++ library with a lot of configuration files, braille tables, and semantic files, because in these semantic files there are semantic rules which tells how to convert from MathML to Braille, and we can change this semantic file and then convert to another notation. So we extend these converters to Polish notation because Braille notation is contextual. It means that one symbol is close to another symbol, and in the another context, its meaning is another. So there are needs to semantic rules, something like straight ontological or dictionary to help this conversion. This conversion is 3 passes. In the first pass is initial conversion. In this first pass, some places in the formula are marked. Then in the second pass, these marked places are converted using mathematical rules. Then in the third pass, all is corrected, edited, and formatted, and then conversion is finished. And the same is in the case of conversion from MathML to Braille and from Braille to MathML, because this converter is both sides. So there are some solutions to help blind students learn of math. The most known is a LaTeX language. It is known for writing publications, scientist publications, math publications, something like this. I use this LaTeX of tool. But so the blind student can write equation, for instance, and he can convert this to the PDF format. But this problem, it can be used on academic level, but on this basic level, on elementary school, it is too difficult for teachers and for children to learn this LaTeX language, so they are not use this. Another solution is equation editor in Word. For instance, it is accessible via keyboard for the blind students, but he can write formula, but he cannot read this because screen reader does not support this very well. There are some plugins to screen readers to help this, but it don't work well. Another solution, there are 2 good web applications. One of these is Desmos application, where the students can write a formula. Then this formula is converted to a graph, math graph, and is presented on the screen. And this math graph can be played as a sound for the blind user. And in this way, he can imagine that in his imagination, he can have imagination of this function or quadratic function or something like this. Another system is Lambda. But in the Desmos, there is not possible to solve tasks to write formulas. In Lambda, it is also web-based system available in few languages. Now it is explained in Polish, and that works to keep this in Polish. In this system, blind students can write formula, teacher can see formula in 2-dimensional form, in graphic form, and opposite, teacher can write formula and blind students can read this formula. But in this case, in this system, problem is that they use their own Braille notation. 8-point Braille normal notations are 6 points, and in Lambda they are used 8-point notations. So The problem is that teacher and student who wants to use this software have to learn this notation additionally to math. And so it is not, it is a problem. Another solution where we developed another solution, there was three applications. One of them was flat math system. It was desktop application when students could use Polish braille notation, and teachers can see this formula using two normal graphical form, and students can write formula in Polish notation or in English notation. It was a web desktop application. Another application was our math system. It is a web application. It uses the same converters as I told, and the same possibilities. It was used in 3 countries, in Netherlands, Poland, and Ireland. Students can write formulas in Polish notation or in UEB, English Unified Notation, and teacher can see formulas and task. Students can also navigate across the formula. Concept of formula is like a tree, so students can explain this formula, splitting it into parts, and each part can be edited or explained or read by speech or read by braille. So students can explain very complicated formulas as a tree. So okay, and another application.
So sorry for interruption. You please may conclude it, sir.
Okay. Yes. I will finish. Another application is for the teachers. It is new idea where teacher can recognize formula, how to write this in braille notation, and so on. So results. Our math application were used in schools in 3 countries. About teacher makes about 300 worksheets to learn for students. Now we are in the state of developing this in new server because we finished project were finished and hosting finished, so we have to install this in a new server. And application for the teacher is new idea. We have to develop them broadly and check if it's a good solution. So thank you for attention. In the case of questions, please contact. Thank you for sort of too long presentation. Sorry.
Thank you. I personally feel the work you have explained and the tools you are developing is really useful for the community, and I really appreciate your work and your dedication to develop such tools. Really great work, sir.
Thank you. I will try to switch off my video. Sorry.
Yeah, please.
I have to make this using keyboard. So.
You please off your mic also, sir.
Yes.
So, Richa, anything else left? Otherwise, we can go ahead.
So then we had completed all the presentations.
Yeah, sir. Yeah, really, it was great to have the part of this conference, and the paper that the organizing committee have put in this session was really in the diverse field. We have started discussing about how to develop the data set for the island in Malaysia, and we have gone through to resizing the photovoltaic plates and the systems, and then we have come through the discussion on the time series analysis, how the STM the model perform. Then later on we pick up a presentation on the robot, how to the BB-8 robot works, and then the presentation given by the Professor Alexander was on the cognitive modeling and the related field. And the last one was really very practical to develop the tool for the Polish braille notations like that. So really it was the session having a variety of papers from the different field, and it was great learning for me also. And I hope the same to all the authors and the listener in this session have enjoyed. I think so. So it's all from my side, and handovers to the Richa, please.
I sincerely thank our authors for their excellent presentation and contribution in this session, and all the participants for being a part of this international conference. I hope this session was informative enough, and all the presenters would be getting their digital certificate within 2 working days. And further, we have already forwarded to the all paper to the Springer. The publication will be live in 5 to 6 months. Kindly cooperate with the team of ICICT. And I also thank our chair, Dr. Vivek Tiwari, for chairing this session. I would like to display the certificate. So it's a token of appreciation for the team of ICICT and the Global Knowledge Research Foundation. Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable time and your presence. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Richa. Share this certificate to my mail ID possible.
Sure, sir.
Thank
sure.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
They all, I kindly request to turn on their camera for a quick snapshot for the virtual conference. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. May I leave it now?
Sure, sir.